Hello, God bless you. This is Ellen Mongan, and today we're going to go tell the world on our show, Go Tell the World podcast. I have a great guest, one of my co-hosts, Maria Gallagher, and welcome, Maria. As always, a joy.
It's such a delight to be with you today, Ellen. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Maria is like that scripture you read today, the mustard seed, only because I know she goes from glory to glory. She walks the Lord closely, but when I met her, she was doing so many things. But now since I met her, and it's only been, I think, 3 years at the most, that she
Yes.
can not only meet her on air, she's done books and she's done a new podcast that she's going to talk about a little today, and she's done a coaching series for that she's going to be walking in now. God called her to coach and to mentor women, and that's right in her field anyways, because tell what your title is and what you do, Maria, for real, her everyday life.
Sure. In my daily life, I am the executive director of the Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation, which is the Keystone State affiliate of National Right to Life. And we deal with the issues of abortion, infanticide, and euthanasia. And we have our hands full just dealing with those issues. And we work for the restoration of rights for preborn children and for pregnant women as well, because we know that they suffer as a result of abortion. And we advocate for pregnant women and for their babies and for families. And we want to see strong families, strong women, strong communities.
I do too. And I have hope, the glimmer of hope. I wore this dress I told Maria because I always do props, not always when Maria's on. She's way more professional than me. But God set before us life and death, light and darkness. And we say choose ye life because there is always a way out. Don't you think, Maria? They have this commercial right now, and it does sadden my soul that some stepfather chose to abuse his stepdaughter, and she got pregnant, and they make a case like that's a chance for abortion. And in my mind, I'm going, whoa, that's very sad. And if you're that dad that decides to do something naughty, shame on you. However, there's other ways, there's other choices, and Maria is great on advocating for choices for people to make that will bring life and light, and it brings light to many. And people are praying for adoption, Maria. Sometimes they can't afford it, and somebody knows someone that longs for a child. And I know in our network of friends here in Augusta, I was in a Christian community, so everybody knows each other. So if there's someone that gets pregnant and someone else knows them and they know someone wants me, they kind of advocate for each other. It's just a sad world right now, but you know what? It's not so sad if you're walking with Christ. The light's going to shine again. I mean, it's going to shine in the hearts of people. So, Marie, what do you think? I mean, that commercial did bother me.
Yes, absolutely. There are some very traumatic cases that are out there. And the thing that we have to remember is that when we have a pregnant woman, we have two patients. We have the woman and her preborn child. And we need to give care and compassion to both of those people. And the fact of the matter is that if a child is being abused, then we need to let the authorities know about that. It's incumbent upon us to do that.
Oh, that's
We
good.
need
That's
to
very good.
break the we need to break the cycle of violence against that child. It's reprehensible. And we know so many girls are caught up in human trafficking nowadays. And so they are led to abortion by human traffickers. It's a terrible situation that deserves our attention. And we must work very strongly and very conscientiously to address the problems that we have in our society. But abortion isn't the solution to problems, it only creates more problems. And you leave women with the terrible sadness and desperation of having the loss of an innocent child. They grieve that loss. And
Mhm.
we know there is such a thing as post abortion trauma, where a woman might experience flashbacks to that abortion. And now, with the advent of the abortion drug, she may actually experience that trauma within her own home, all by herself. And imagine what that feels like to have one pill starve your child to death and have another pill expel that dead baby from your uterus. And you're left to confront the body of that baby all alone with no one there to guide you or to help you. It's a tragic, tragic situation. And now abortion is as close as the nearest mailbox because these pills can be distributed through the mail. And we need to recognize as a society what abortion does to women. Abortion can have grave physical effects for a woman. It can also have intense psychological impact for a woman. She may experience suicidal tendencies. She may experience eating disorders. She may suffer from severe depression. And all of these are avoidable problems when we offer women life-giving, life-affirming solutions to their problems.
That's right. Let there be light. And that's why we're going to talk today a little bit more too about they always need some arms to hug them and someone to be there for them, an advocate. Maybe maybe the little girl's mommy was in the same boat and who knows if she kept the baby or not. And some mommies have different gifts, right? They do. I was not the mommy that knew how to clean house or cook. I did cook, but I was not that mommy. I was the mommy that played games and engaged with the children all day long. I had a large family of 8 children. One passed away and went to glory full term, 2.5 hours old. But I engaged. So I spent most of my time doing that. But some mommies may don't have the gift of compassion, understanding. They may choose to get mad at the daughter or make them shamed. And once something's done, at least in my home, when sin happened, you got to deal with the solution at that point. You have to say, well, this happened and now we work out the solution together. What do you think, Maria? What do you think about the women that they feel like, say there's a young girl out there listening, because I don't know who listens to our show. It goes all around the world. We know that. But what if there's a little girl there and she doesn't know who to turn to?
The important thing is to find somebody that you trust. And that might be a teacher or a relative or a friend. And confide in that person. Tell that person what's going on. Tell a trusted adult what is happening to you. And let them know that this should not be tolerated. And you can find the help that you need when you face these terrible situations. And we know from experience that if a pregnant woman is supported, she's far more likely to choose life for her child. There was a study that was done that showed that 80% of post-abortive women who regretted their abortions would have chosen life for their children had just one person provided support, just one person. And
That's
that
right.
person can be each and every one of us.
That's
And
right.
that's why it's so important to have pregnancy resource centers stand in the gap for these pregnant women. They provide everything from diapers to daycare referrals and from maternity clothes to mentoring. And they offer a comprehensive approach, support, counseling, and care to pregnant women who may face very trying circumstances. And they also offer support and encouragement even after the child is born. So it's a great misnomer that the pro-life movement only cares about the baby in the womb. That's not the case. We care about the woman, we care about the father of the child, we care about the entire family. And we want to do what's right by that child and by that mother and by that father. And that's providing life-affirming solutions to their challenges.
That's so great. And as you're talking, I'm thinking how great it is to be in the pro-life movement and really know that it's a baby. It's not just a seed. My other co-host, Jane Ann, I know you've met her, Jan Bumbrick. She was my co-host full time, and then she and her husband did a business, and now she's working at the Colby Center in Macon, Georgia. She's a mother of 11, so if you're in Macon, Georgia, it's a trusted mom there that can hear your story and understand, be there for you. I've been telling her to network with Maria because I would never have thought of it had you not said all the things that your center provides. There's some pro-life centers that just provide a pregnancy test, that, they don't
Mhm.
do the things y'all do. And so I thank you because Colby Center is another one of those phenomenal centers that Dr. Richard Rowe and Suzanne Rowe, our friends in Macon, started. And it's very high. We are Christians care. Let's face it. We have big hearts to care. And so the people that are looking for a ministry to do, that's a good one. Maria's going to share another ministry. She does a lot of ministries. She wears a lot of hats. She's so well worded. I learned so much on this show. I have her on just to acknowledge she's a professional in this area, but in many areas as well. So Maria, tell about the ways about why coach women or why have mommy mentors or spiritual direction is something a lot of ladies do. We know a lot of spiritual directors, Maria, and I, in our realm of friends, but it's different than the mommy mentor coaching or Titus 2 older woman.
Absolutely. It's so important that women walk along the side of other women, especially women during their pregnancies. And I think that many of us benefited from the wise words of older women when we were pregnant. I think back to my pregnancy and my mother and what a great role model she was for me. And I think about my aunts who provided love and guidance for me during my pregnancy. And if you're in a position where you can offer that mentorship, by all means do so, because there is a pregnant woman out there who could use your help and guidance. And the important thing to recognize is the fact that there are many different ways to accompany women. Mentorship is one of them. Another way is through life coaching, and that's what I've been involved with. I've been trained to be a life coach, and it's fascinating because what you do is you help people to become unstuck in their circumstances. Say you're having a difficult time at your workplace, you're not exactly sure where you should go or what you should do. A life coach can help you to assess your situation and to find action steps that will help you to get out of that rut and get you back on an even keel. And it's so rewarding to be able to help somebody with the challenges they face and to provide them with that coaching relationship, which can be so empowering. I know that I benefited from having a life coach when we had our recent Celebrate Life banquet. And the life coach helped me to see that I should pack some memorable moments into our banquet. And we
Oh,
did. We
so
had
fun.
a wonderful rendition of Amazing Grace. We had a very powerful speech by Pete Hegseth of Fox News. And we had a very endearing acceptance speech from our former executive director, Michael Chicachobo, who won our Pennsylvania Pro-Life Lifetime Achievement Award. And those memorable moments were all packed into that banquet. And it was one of the finest banquets that I ever attended. And that was largely due to the coaching that I had received. So you benefit either way as a coach or as a client to a coach. And it's just fascinating, this movement within the Catholic Church for Catholic life coaching. And a lot of us have joined together into a communion of Catholic coaches. And we are committed to bringing the coaching mindset into our dioceses around the country.
Right.
And we're even helping priests in their ministries. And it's very exciting and a very hopeful proposition.
Yes, and who did you study under? Was it just a name of a coaching
The
company or
Sure, sure. It was the Professional Christian Coaching Institute, or
okay? Do y'all have that where you jot it down like
PCCI,
so
Professional Christian Coaching Institute. And they actually have a Catholic cohort that I
okay,
attended for
okay.
the Essentials of Life Coaching. And now I'm in another coaching class with my Protestant brothers and sisters. And it's very enlightening, and we do role plays in terms of coaches and
Sure.
clients.
My
And
favorite.
we get that practical experience, which helps us with our clients. And I see the benefit every day of coaching. And it's really a movement within the Catholic Church now. And it's going to catch fire, I think, all across the country. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, when I was in Macon, Georgia, my ministry was women's ministry, and I had mommy mentoring built in, so I had an office, and I would tell the woman if you have anything to talk about, they would come in, and I've each parish we go to, I tell the priest and the bishop. This would be an idea to have. And I really do think now it's coming to pass in different places. I'm very excited because I'd have like a library of books, right, to pass them. And I'd wisdom because I'm mother of, for 50 years of my husband. I've been a parent, I'm married 50 years. I'm a mother of 8 children. It gives you some experience along the way. And it is so important. You know, when you're mentoring a woman, they may come in and start crying because like I was this mother. I couldn't train my fifth child. And it ended up being he didn't want to train. And one lady just so sweetly said, Karen's husband says to me, he won't go to kindergarten like that. I promise you. But I was at a care center. I was actually teaching a class, and one of the other teachers came in and says, never use pull-ups. And I go, that's it. Because by my seventh child, pull-ups were invented. And of course, they felt like they were in their panties. Just these little treasures of news, you know, treasures of like
Yes.
bulb. That's my answer, Lord. But I did love the mommy when I was younger. We always had an older woman. They called it in our community. They called it an older woman. And then
Uh-huh.
when we left, it was a hole because I really do like to have someone. Pat would often say to me, "He's my husband." He'd always go, "You got to go talk to a woman. I have no idea what you're talking about." Because you know, women like they have this other commercial, that other thing. They were going like they women understand women, and the part that our body is so different than the man's body is kind of a gift from God. It's not like something to do away with. And I just sat in on that too, Maria, because there's been a lot on about the men don't understand. Well, they may not understand, but there's someone that does. And especially if you need someone to talk to, having a mommy mentor in place when you're a mommy or a coach is so excellent because then you may start, you don't have any problems. And then when you do, you already built that relationship. You have to build relationships. They can't just you don't just walk in someone's office and say, now I trust you with my life. Tell me what to do. You have to build that relationship. Don't you think, Ray, you probably build with your people?
Yeah, it's definitely important to build those strong relationships between women and between pregnant women and their older sisters and their mother figures in their lives. And we find that the coach approach is very helpful to pregnant women because it puts them in the driver's seat. The coach only talks about 20% of the time. The rest of the time, 80% of the time, is spent by the client talking about their difficulties and their challenges. And the coach is just there as a guide to help the woman to see the approaches that she can use to address those difficulties that she faces. And it's a very hope-filled approach, the coaching mindset. And the other thing that it teaches you is active listening. I know I've become a better listener as a result of coaching.
Yeah, I was just
And
going
I have applied
to
that in my personal life. I've applied that to mothering and mentoring. And
yes.
it's a wonderful skill to have because you can learn so much when you listen.
Okay. It's important. That's why I come on the show with Maria. So one time I have to learn so much. But I do agree. It is there are some mommy mentors that I know that are spiritual direction. That is a big thing with spiritual direction too, don't you think, Maria? The listening, but
Yes.
some I approach mommy mentoring not that I talk the whole time different. Like I go in for like the friendship, like I'm your friend, I'm there for your advocate. And sometimes they need you to give suggestions and things like that. But I do like this. I thought was with the there's a couple of religious things that I follow, and I'm sure Maria does too. Daniel Burke with spiritual direction. I thought it was through that, but it was not through that one. Was it Cynthia?
No, no. So
That's right.
spiritual direction is a separate field,
Okay.
and I benefit greatly because I have a relationship with a spiritual director.
Okay.
And
Is
the
that free,
spiritual
Maria?
director, she talks with me once a month,
Okay.
and she explores my relationship with God. And we talk about what I'm reading, what I'm doing, my prayer life, and she offers me helpful hints and guidance through
Okay.
that spiritual journey. So it's a bit different than mentoring and it's different than coaching. But there are some people who do coach individuals in the spiritual life.
Okay.
And that's very beneficial as well. That's not really my specialty. My specialty is pregnant women and their
That's right.
challenges,
That was
but
so needed.
it is very much needed. And I benefit from the recommendations of my spiritual director, um, who helps to keep me on the straight and narrow.
Okay.
And she's also constantly praying for me and for my
Oh,
family, which means
so
so
important.
much to me.
I know. We've seen miracles happen in Maria's life. And then when you read her
Yes.
books, what she's going to mention to at the end is you see how God has guided her all along. And
Yes.
you can't just start the journey with God and go like, I've arrived. You're never arriving. There's always more of Jesus and less of you, hopefully, and there's always more to learn. So then Maria, what made you think about going at the podcast? I'm very excited about it because I haven't seen one of your
Yes.
podcasts yet, but I'm going to do it. We're going to tell at the end how to get a hold. I'm getting my pad of paper out now if y'all want to be ready. Okay, so how did you get into the podcast? Which I think is podcasts are it just blossomed and bloomed. It's everywhere, and everyone has a podcast, and you find your favorites. Yes, we were on a meeting, Maria and I, like a little, like just support each other in our writing, and everyone had so many different ones I didn't haven't heard of, but I did enjoy our time. So Maria, what do you think? How about podcasting? Some
Hmm.
people like it better when you don't see the person because they can go in the shower and they
Right.
don't have to. And I always say, just go in the shower. They don't- I like the video podcasting because I do
Yeah.
it personally so I can see the other person and know when they want to say something. It's just important to me. But go ahead, tell about podcasting world.
Sure. So, our monthly podcast grew out of our radio program, which we did with JMJ Radio in Scranton, and it was called Lifelines Radio. And when the podcasting trend hit, we decided to distribute that radio program to a greater audience through podcasting. And we are focused like a laser beam on the pro-life issue in Lifelines Radio, but we do it from an unusual perspective. We often interview authors about how the pro-life movement has affected them and their writing, and how
Mhm.
those pro-life themes carry forward in their books. And so it talks about creativity and really using your talents and gifts to spread the pro-life message and to glorify God. So it's been a tremendous blessing. I also do a weekly podcast with my education director, Remel Tenney, and that's
Okay.
called Positively Pro-Life. And
Oh,
that's available on all major listening apps. And it's an audio podcast
okay.
that we do in conjunction with a Philadelphia radio station. And we interview so many magnificent people. We just interviewed Andrew Baer of National Right to Life. We interviewed Carol Tobias, the president of National Right to Life. We interview pro-life doctors and pro-life educators, and even, quite frankly, the victims of abortion, because there are abortion survivors, individuals who were aborted as babies, but who survived those abortions, such as Melissa Oden. And so we interview fantastic people. And it's just been such a learning experience to talk with these people from all across the country about how the pro-life movement affects them. So I'm very blessed in the podcasting realm. I actually came from a career in radio, so podcasting comes very naturally to me. And I'm just so excited about how it's really taken off.
nice. We had our right to life had, unfortunately, we were unable to go. Pat had COVID or some kind of illness. I don't remember. We were unable to go but this year. We had tickets, but we had the man, and I don't remember his name, that had the seven children, and they came to his house. Do you remember the story? Went to
Oh,
jail.
Mark Houck, sure.
We had him, and I was like I was just like counting the minutes to go, and then my husband was he really was too sick, but I gave it to a friend the ticket, and she had never been able to go, and she was so happy. So no, these are I want to hear more about Pete before for your closing thing because I want to hear what his main message was. We really a lot of us follow a lot of people all over TV, radio, but you have to know that you're listening for the clear voice, the one whose heart's set on Christ. You listen for people that are gonna like a lot of the news. I'm not judging it, but a lot of times you got to really trust your sources, be guided by the Holy Spirit to go and listen and do things that will bring life. So, what was Pete's main message on your show?
Well,
Oh,
Pete
yeah.
Pegsmith had a phenomenal message at our banquet, at our Celebrate Life banquet, which was held in Hershey, Pennsylvania in October. And he really addressed the whole issue of the sanctity of the innocent child in the womb. And he also talked about support for women. In Pennsylvania, we had a program called Real Alternatives, which funded pregnancy resource centers, maternity homes, and adoption agencies all throughout the Commonwealth. Well, our governor sadly canceled the contract of Real Alternatives. And so there are women who are going without services now because of that decision. And Pete talked about how important the Real Alternatives structure was to those pregnant women, because it meant that they could get the comprehensive care and support they needed, the counseling they needed for themselves during those precious days of pregnancy. And he is quite the advocate for life. And he himself has 7 children, and he's a phenomenal father, a dedicated military veteran, and an author of many books. And it was just so enlightening to hear what he had to say. I highly recommend him as a speaker. You can't go wrong with Pete Hegseth.
And I highly recommend Maria as a speaker. If you're a pro-life, and you're right to life or a pro-life center and you want a speaker for the year, this is the one to get. And you can see, as you can see, she's very professional, well worded. And I always enjoy it, Maria. We only have a short time, but do you want to pick up on some of those things, the topics we talked on, and finish us up towards the end? Not your last word, but like we talked about mentoring. We talked about having someone in place and getting to know the person that coaches you. You don't just pop in their office and pour out your heart. We talk about being the hands of Christ to someone coming in and not judging, oh, you're pregnant, because sometimes they get that judgment in the world or in their own home. And need people with big hearts and big brains. Like Maria, so Maria, what do you want to touch? We talked about,
Absolutely.
they talked about many things. We did talk about many things. I wanted to talk on many things though, because I feel like the podcast alone, if you're home alone and you're with children and they're napping, what a great time to do a podcast and listen to someone else, their other voice, because you can't just listen to, you could pray and you listen for God, you go to mass or you go to service, and you still have to have outside voices to teach you the places in your heart you're missing. Everybody has good strength, some strengths and some weaknesses. So Maria, what do you want to finish on? So like the last words are important, but this is important too because they have to, we just sum up the show.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I have learned in coaching is that we all have strengths. In fact, according to the Gallup Strength Assessment, we all have 34 different strengths, but
Okay.
some of them are top strengths. For instance, my top strength is achiever. So I always want to get things done. Your top strength may be something else. It may be empathy. Who knows? It may be woo, in which you woo other people,
Yeah.
and attract them to your ministry. So we all have strengths, we all have gifts, we all have talents, we all have charisms. And it's important that we recognize those and then use them for the benefit of other people. That's why God gave them to us. They're
Just
not
love
just for ourselves, they're for others, they're for the entire community. So please draw on your strengths, especially with regard to the pro-life movement. We can use your talents and gifts to further the cause of life.
That's right. I love that. I love that. I so believe it too. There was a study I probably shared before where a company was doing so well because everyone was gifted for a purpose in the company and they were doing their job so well that the genius CEO thought of this idea. I'm going to train everybody up in every single area so they have more gifted. It failed. He had to put them all
Yes,
back where they were because strength is strength. God doesn't usually call us to do everything.
right.
He equip us when we need to be. But throughout your journey of life, you're being trained up in things that it's almost like one day a light bulb goes off. You go like, this is what I enjoy. This brings me life. Then you know you're in the right place at the right time. And also there's times that you are called. Like I was never babysat, Maria. I never cooked, I never cleaned, and I was called to have 7 children. A lot of times I ask God if he made a mistake. He goes, no, that's the biggest miracle in your life ever that I called you. I was like a stewardess. I laid on the blue raft when I got married in the pool at the apartment we moved into in Piccadilly in Gainesville, Florida. And I thought, this is the life my little blue raft in me. I'm married to a doctor. My life is grand. But that wasn't all there was to the story. I learned that it's not grand to just be self-focused, self-centered, and all about your little blue raft and the sunshine on your face. better to reach out and love and be other-centered. And each baby God gave me, he expanded my heart and helped me to love. I love every baby I see. I see people in the church, and I try to close my eyes just so I don't focus on life of babies, but the life of Christ and the Eucharist. So I enjoyed it, Maria, and I do want you to say where that you can get a hold of you, also
Sure.
where they can buy your books. And I just think her books are they focus on the rosary and the mysteries of the rosary. And maybe some of you have not like grasped on to saying a rosary a day. A lot of people do. And then you read it and you go, each part of the rosary, you get put in your everyday life. Each mystery of the rosary can be a part of your daily life. You could say, ah, I'm right now living the joyful mystery. Mary gave birth for the Son of God at the Nativity. And I just had a baby. I feel it part of the third mystery of the joyful mysteries. But I love your books, Mary. You know that. So say all
Thank
the finishing
you.
lines now. Because we did sum it up. I think that was a great invitation. Maybe they're
Thank
home.
you so
There are
much.
people that need a coach, Mary. They're sitting there going, I don't have any gifts. I could do nothing right. You really then need a coach. Because a coach, what does he do with the team? He peps them up. He goes, go team, go. You got this one. And sometimes he corrects us too, because some are off the mark. So coach away, Maria. Say your sum up. If I don't lose you.
So, in order to connect with me, you can go to my website, which is mariavgallagher.com. That's mariavgallagher.com. And you can find my books at shopmercy.org. That's shopmercy.org. And I have three books right now, Joyful Encounters with Mary, um, and then Mercy's Power, which is a pro-life book, and then Glorious Encounters with Mary. And the Encounters with Mary series is a series of books that are dedicated to the Rosary and how we live out the mysteries in our own individual lives. And so I am going to be coming out with a fourth book next year on the sorrowful mysteries of the Rosary. So you can look forward to that.
Amen. Here's a great guess at a co-host. I'm going to say that don't be afraid of the sorrowful mysteries. First read her book and then embrace them. They change you forever. So Maria, good to see you. Good having you. And I'm going to close this off with thank you for tuning in to Go Tell the World. This is Ellen Mongan and Maria Gallagher. And we've enjoyed talking with y'all about pro-life, right? We'd like to share it. Write Maria a note and invite her to your pro-life or right to life conference. She'd be an excellent speaker. We love you, Maria. Have a great day. And I love the red on you. Be blessed.
Thank you so much.
And this is where they've changed everything. So you just bear with me. Maria, you can tell them one more time how to get a hold of you. So I fiddle here. Tell them one more time.
Sure. So one more time to get a hold of me, please go to my website at mariavgallagher.com. That's mariavgallagher.com.
Amen. Have a great day.